order. I don't have the tub, so I gotta use that. I want to welcome everybody to the February 22nd edition of the Order of Smedley. Welcome to your Saturday morning. We are excited because there's only 3 of us today. Everybody else is at this thing called a TLI, and they're leadershiping and workshopping and presenting. Except for Parveen, who's absent because she is actually publicly speaking on a stage in Orlando, I believe, today. So she is actually Toastmastering in the real world. We wish everybody the best of luck in all of their pursuits, wherever they are. And although we are small, we are a mighty committed group of Smedleys at the Order of Smedley. So I welcome everybody today. I don't have a flag for the Pledge of Allegiance, so instead,
why don't we just imagine one in our mind when we say the pledge?
well, I was going to say, Beverly, did you print off the agenda?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I was going to ask you to read our club vision statement. Can you read this if I hold it up? Can you read that?
Yes. The Order of Smedley exists to empower, embrace, and elevate your speaking experience. We call this our E3 statement.
So we'll do that instead of the Pledge of Allegiance. So that is why we are here, to empower each other to be better speakers, to embrace each other's frailties as speakers, and to elevate how we speak as both in mannerisms, personalities, and in style. And that's why we are here as Smedleys, is to do just that. And so today our focus is going to be on John Paul. John Paul is our speaker for today. He's going to be giving us a speech in just a moment. Our odd counter, I'm going to point out, is being Beverly. She's also the timer. She'll be putting her folders, her colors right up into the camera there for Jean Paul, so he won't miss them. Perfect. And I will be the grammarian. Our word of the day today is pontificate. Pontificate. Be interesting to see how we use that today. Jean Paul assures us he has a way to use that and teach us how to use it. So let's get this party started. Our first speaker today is, or only speaker today, is Jean Paul. He will be evaluated by both Beverly and I, roundtable style, when he is complete. Your speech is how long?
5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes to you, Beverly. And it is entitled, or titled, Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, Jean Paul.
Fellow members of the jury, you are here today to decide whether something truly happened beyond a reasonable doubt. Now let me ask you, do you know what supposedly happened on July 20th, 1969? Any thoughts? The first man on the moon, July 20th, 1969. Now, I'm sure all of you have to some extent, have wondered whether it really happened. Do you have enough proof, beyond a reasonable doubt, to be sure that it really happened? Can you go to every meeting and pontificate about that there was truly a man on the moon? Or is something still bugging you that maybe it didn't happen? Now, let's ask the audience. Let's do a quick poll. How sure are you, Laurean and Beverly, that it really happened? Just use a word.
90%.
90%?
90%.
And how about you, Beverly?
I'll say 95.
You're at 95. Now, let me tell you that words like highly unlikely, unlikely, perhaps, possibly, probably, likely, or highly likely, and it sounds like you're in the likely or highly likely area, are still not beyond a reasonable doubt. So it sounds like my speech can end here. I can stop pontificating about this matter. However, for those of you who might be close to beyond a reasonable doubt, let me sow some doubt. Now, as a trained lawyer, which I'm not, I would have to prove that there was a motive for people to lie, and I would have to bring some physical evidence that it didn't happen. And I can declare that I have both. Let's first start with the motive. Why would anybody lie about something as important as the first man on the moon? Well, first of all, you might recall what was happening in the world at the time, in the 60s. It was the Cold War. Russia and the US were at war. And what better way to prove that you're the best than to put a man in space, which the Russians did first, and then as Americans, you go and prove that there was a man on the moon to one-up them. So we already knew that there was a Russian that circumvented the Earth first. So there's a really good reason to beat them in this space race. Secondly, you might also recall that America was involved in the war in Vietnam. Things weren't going so well there, and a lot of people locally in the US were coming up and protesting the presence there because they thought it was a good distraction. The politicians said, why don't we come up with something where we can all rally around? We forget about the differences. We forget about the problems that we politicians are being blamed for. Let's give everybody something to just go out and celebrate. What better than to be the first country to put a man on the moon? I present to you motive to not be honest with people, but to involve Hollywood. Where do the best movies come from? This brings me to evidence. The best movies in the world, even today, come from Hollywood. Everybody wants to be a winner in Hollywood. So we could put a man on the moon in some studio, and that's what actually happened. If you study some of the pictures, there's one picture of a rock that supposedly comes from the moon. But if you really look closely, and you don't even need glasses to look, you will see that there's a big C on a rock. Who would put the letter C on a rock? Other than if it was a prop in a studio. That's what people do. Stage managers do. They mark everything to know exactly where to put things if they have to reshoot a scene. There's a picture out there showing a C on a rock. Then there are one or two other things showing that the pictures that were taken there could not have happened in the circumstances that we had. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you motive distraction, trying to be first. And secondly, lots of physical evidence that there was never a man on the moon. I hope you will find that beyond reasonable doubt, there was never a man on the moon. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, Jean-Paul. To think that it never really did happen. I know there's always things going on about it, but that's a political debate for another day. As a speaker, I thought you were very well prepared. I loved how you opened us up in your greeting as members of a jury, as if you were about to present to us a closing argument following a debate that has already happened, and you're just pulling it all together for us to enjoy. I thought it was fantastic that you asked for our input and that you played into it. I enjoyed how playful you were with the different directions you wanted to go. You look like you were having a lot of fun. It was fun to watch you speak, because you look like you were actually enjoying this particular topic. And I think because you were enjoying the topic, you're probably the most well-spoken I've heard you in a very long time. You really had your thoughts together. I liked how you had the information on your phone where you were referencing various degrees of likelihood. I think that was really interesting. And then where we were on it, and then you wanted to take a stab at us. I thought that was very brave of you to challenge our responses. But you did it in a fun, playful manner, which actually works for you. It really does work for you. You've got a likability factor. So when you play into things like that, you actually pull us into it. So I like how you did that. You could get away with that in a big room too, not just the couple of us gals and watching you, but in a bigger room, you could actually get away with that. So I enjoyed how you started it. I enjoyed the different paths you took us down in the middle. I appreciated you standing up for your speech, because you actually used both sides of your body to tell different points of view. So you're very effective with that. You're always very careful with your words. And I loved how you closed us up. You really gave us a lot to think about. Especially where the American media is concerned. Beverly, do you have any thoughts on Jean-Paul's speech?
You almost convinced me you were a lawyer. How you presented your speech. I have to echo what Laurean said, so I will not pontificate any further.
You're so cute, Beverly.
If I had to do the speech again, what do you suggest I do differently? I appreciate your feedback so far, which was positive.
Yeah, I think because you did make it a point to stand up and speak, I think you could have done more to use your space. Okay, you could have done more to practice. I want to use this side of my body to explain this piece. I'm going to use this side of my body to explain this piece. So even though you don't have a lot of room in the camera angle to move, you could have been more intentional with how you presented things in a visually, is it dichotomic, when there's two ways I don't know, dichotomy. when there's two things to compare and contrast against, Americans and Russians, and the Americans did this, and every time you point to this side, that's the Americans doing something. When it's the Russians, you always point to this side to point to the Russians were doing something. So we have an image, so you can use your body and imagery in that way. So that's what I would do for you next time that you're giving the speech, is to think about how to be far more intentional and exaggerated with the use of your space. Because you were very, even though you did use it, it was off the cuff and not intentional, and it was very constrained.
Yeah, okay.
So you do get the opportunity to use your whole space.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Everything else was great. Everything else is great, but since you made it a point to do the speech, you obviously practiced it and went through it a few times to give more thought to how to use the space. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I would do that. I know when I write speeches and practice them, I always think of my stage in threes, because we're always taught to do things in threes. So as I'm writing my speech, I'll rewrite it, even if it's just, bullet points and notes. I'll go back through a couple of times intentionally to think about, okay, how am I going to use the right side of the stage? How am I going to use the left side? How am I going to use the middle? And write that into my speech. So on my bullet points, I know I got to face this way. I got to face that way, to give the audience those visuals. So it's important. It's important. It adds an interest factor to the whole thing. So I would challenge you to try that.
Yep.
Even with that small camera angle, you can still make it happen.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what I would suggest at this point.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I would like to hear a little bit more vocal variety. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but there are points I thought you could have punched it a little bit more.
Good.
That's all I need to add, or what to add.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, to pontificate on that point, Beverly, I think what she is saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Beverly, is that we do agree that you are a very careful speaker. I think all three of us can agree with that. But in that carefulness, if your voice was a wavelength, you're pretty much right here.
Yes.
So it does go up a little bit when you do get ramped up and working, but it's still within that same wavelength. So it would be great to see you get excited about, one-upping those Americans, or those Russians, or you could even go, and one-upping those Russians, just for emphasis. You could go either way. I think that's the point she's trying to make.
Yeah. Yes.
And that does add interest to what you're saying, because it gives our ears an opportunity to stay focused easier.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
Because you are a very careful speaker, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But in this particular sense, I think Beverly is saying it could be a hindrance too.
Yes. I'm writing that down. Careful speaker.
Maybe you could try that with your table topic.
Yes.
So speaking of table topics, why don't we go ahead and get into our table topics?
Good morning, everybody. I am your table topics master, which means I get to tell you what to talk about. But just to make sure you don't take the whole day and pontificate, we only have a maximum of 2 minutes, a minimum of 1 minute. But after 2 minutes, the red card will come up. And we don't want you to talk way beyond the red card. Got that? Now we have 3 cards, but I'm going to be asking my questions about colors too today.
Pardon me?
Colors.
Colors.
The theme of table topics today is colors.
Colors.
Beverly, are you ready?
I think so.
I'll
All
time
right.
you, Beverly. I got your timer.
Okay. I had mine too. So
Beverly, tell us about whether you have a green thumb or not, and whether you really wish you were good in the garden.
if I have a green thumb or not,
Yes.
well, even though my last name is Plant, my thumb is not green. I'm very good at getting the weeds up out of the ground because I don't like the weeds. However, I cannot but pontificate my success in planting things. It is my bane, and I get teased about it constantly because my last name is Plant. Right now, I have a yard that I'm working on. It is full of weeds. So I am not sure how I'm going to get rid of all those weeds and get grass to grow. That's just something I'm going to have to think about. And hopefully my minute is up. It's not, okay. Part of my problem with working in the backyard is I have 2 dogs and they love to make deposits all over the yard. So getting them to do their business somewhere else while I'm working in the yard, I guess I'm just going to have to section off the yard and only work on certain sections at one time. And I don't feel like pontificating anymore. So thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Now that we have dealt with the color green, the color red will come up as a theme for the question. So, Laurean, red means stop at the traffic light. But what stoplights have you ignored in the past and can look back at with success?
With success. Well, being a girl raised in California, we have this saying called the California stop, which means you roll up to a stop sign and you just keep on going. You never completely stop. The tires move just a little bit and then you go on. They never completely come to a stop. And we always made fun of that where we come from. I don't know if it's a national thing or just a California thing, but us Cali girls always called it a California stop. So there's quite a few stop signs that I have run growing up because that was, you know, the cool thing to do when you were a teenager is to see if you can get away with a California stop. When it came to red lights, which is the point of your question, there are red lights I think I have run, as I am a fast driver. I do like to challenge the light cycle and see if I can get away with, you know, just getting through the light. I do enjoy that. I think that's fun. Albeit dangerous, but that's what I like about it. There are times I have driven, and I know other people have said they've experienced this too. I don't know if either of you have experienced this, but you'll be driving down the road thinking about something, and I'll look in my rear view mirror and I'll go, was that a red light? Did I stop for that? Oh my God, was it red? Was it green? Oh my God. Okay, there's cars behind me. I must be okay. And that does happen to me when I'm driving. I do seem to phase out and I don't always know if I stop or don't. I like to think that I do. And I know that's a dangerous thing to admit, but I'll admit it to this room. So there, I'm done pontificating about the reasons why I enjoy running red lights.
Well, Laurean, I want you to be, let me pontificate. I want you to be more careful and stop at every red light.
I know.
And send a text message from every red light that you've stopped at. No, don't do that.
Okay, it's your turn, Jean Paul. So you
Yeah.
gave Beverly green, you gave me red. You get gold. So what I've been impressed with, you have a different angle of your home today than you have had in the past. You usually sit in a different area of your home, so we usually have a different backdrop for you. Today we have this beautiful gold brassy backdrop that I am absolutely in love with because it looks sort of Japanese to me.
Mm.
Can you explain your gold style of decor in your home?
Ooh. This is the so-called feature wall behind me. And I've never really done, except for to show people what it looks like, I've never done a video conference like this. Yes, I'm normally elsewhere. But this is, I live in an apartment in New York City, 2 levels. Behind me is a spiral staircase to go downstairs. And this is, as you can see here, this is natural wood piece to put some stuff. But behind me is really what I like. I like having something that just looks beautiful and is maybe not functional, but beauty also has its functionality, I believe. It gives some enjoyment by just seeing it. So I like the idea of having some parts of the house that look nice. This is, yeah, I didn't specifically think about to show it off, but I thought this is spacious, and I actually first tried to put my computer here, and yeah, it's still downloading Zoom, I believe. That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. So we did our table topics are red, yellow, and red, gold, and green today. So thank you for leading us through that, Jean Paul. Now we come to, we are really ahead of schedule here with only one speaker today. We're going to go ahead and call on our reports. Beverly, would you like to give your timer report?
Sure. John Paul, your speech was 6 minutes and 43 seconds. Your table topics were 1 minute and 23 seconds. And you used the word pontificate 3 times. Laurean, your table topics was 2 minutes and 13 seconds. You used pontificate twice. I don't know what my time was for table topics, but I used the word pontificate 3 times. What was my table topics time?
Oh, 1 minute, 21 seconds. When you came back around for a second, go. As a grammarian report, we've heard the use of the word of the day, but Beverly, I have you down for 4 uses of pontificate. So you really enjoyed using that. Jean-Paul, a statement that you said that I really enjoyed in your speech was right at the very beginning, which was members of a jury. That was a good hook, really hooked me into what you had to say next. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat at that point, and you were just 5 seconds into your speech. So great opening. I enjoyed you saying that. Beverly, I didn't have anything down for your table topic, but I did think it was a lovely table topic. I would have liked to have heard more about the dogs.
Anytime.
And that's it for the grammarian report. I think this online meeting has gone well. What do you guys think?
Very
Yes.
well.
Yes. Were guests invited or only members?
Guests were invited. We were expecting some guests from last week's meet or our last meeting at TLI. A
Yes.
couple people said they would be here. They weren't, but again, that Sarasota TLI is going on. So I'm expecting our next meeting on March 14th to be a big meeting. So what we've been doing there is encouraging judges, our guest judges, to all be remote.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an interesting play on our use of technology, is to have our contest judges all be remote. We'll have you as an online contestant.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zan might also be online. Kathy will most likely be in the room. I think that'll be a very interesting club contest, since neither Parveen, Jeanette, nor I are able to compete. We'll be the chief judges, contest masters, things of that nature. And then Trinity Odessa is going to send us over a couple functionaries to help out as well. So it's going to be a fun club meeting day. I'm looking forward to the contest. So we have both you, Zan, and Kathy participating in both evaluation and international.
Okay. Okay.
So we have you participating. Now, we know that you can't advance to the area, but that doesn't mean you can't win the club contest.
No, I'm now all gung-ho for it.
We're gung-ho for you too. I'm rooting for you. I am, because I want Kathy knowing that she may be representing Smedley, but that's not because she won. I think that would be fun club banter.
I would gladly be second to somebody who is better than me.
So I think it'll be a fun contest. I'm really, really looking forward to it. We've been working the past month to get our volunteers and everybody to sign up. One thing I have learned from doing these online meetings, our Toastmaster meetings via Zoom, is that by not having to take the time to walk up to the front of the room and back again, I think we actually save 15 minutes off of a normal agenda.
I will have to agree with that.
It is rather interesting. There's not all that delay in, because we all applause and keep applauding to fill up the dead airspace while someone's walking to the front of the room. And we don't have that in this environment. So we can actually either get more done in the same amount of time, or we can get the same amount of work done in less time. So I think that's why, even though there's only the three of us, I think ending our meeting at 11:15 is about right on par for a normal club meeting format, since we don't have all the walking going on in the meeting, which I think is an interesting observation.
Yes.
So this is working really well. I really like doing this online. Now my president term is up at the end of June. So we're hoping over the next, we just had an open house. We have a club contest with a lot of guests coming. And then on March 28th, we're having another open house. And I'm inviting the presidents of the district to attend as a presidential open house. And then after that, we're going to have another 2 April open houses. We're going to have 2 April open houses where I'm going to invite everybody who has recently received an education award in our district that is now past, that has received a level 2 or beyond, to attend as well. So hopefully through all of these efforts, we'll find new members and new growth, and hopefully some new officers, because I can't be president again. Not that I would want, I don't have the bandwidth for it. It's been a challenge, but Toastmasters won't let me do it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll find some new blood to help spur on the officers and the membership. So I'm really looking forward to who might be walking in our room in the next couple of months. It's really exciting. And while we've been on the phone, I actually got, or on the call, got an email from a couple of emails from new people who said they missed the meeting, but they'll be here at the next one. And so this is pretty cool.
Very.
It's very, very cool. So we'll reach new people in new ways. Does anybody have anything else to add to the meeting before we adjourn?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
I don't want to pontificate anymore.
with that, you guys have a fantastic, wonderful Saturday and a great rest of the weekend. Jean-Paul, I know it's really cold up where you are. If it makes you feel any better, it's 45 degrees here in Florida.
Oh,
That's freezing.
yeah, that's freezing.
I'm
for
having
you,
to wear
yeah.
long sleeves. Long sleeves in Florida. We don't do that down here.
Yeah.
And socks. We don't do that down here. So anyway, you have a good week, and we'll see you on March 14th.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.